you how we do all this stuff. Had a lot of questions in the past about intensive rotational grazing. We keep cattle and horses in the same paddock. We're going to be actually introducing sheep here pretty quick. So let's see here if we got a microphone check. I'm going to need that other phone. I'm going to go ahead and get on it and make sure it's coming through, streaming. We always have to do all this fancy stuff here. All right, let's see. All right, gonna double check, guys. We're still working out some bugs in this equipment, so we got to see how it actually works. We always have to do all this fancy stuff. We got quite a delay also, so I'm watching me talking to you guys. So, all right, gonna double check, guys. There we go. We're good. Some bugs in this equipment. All right, we're super high tech here. We're running 2 phones and a bunch of other garbage. Yeah, super high tech ranchers. All right, let's go. Let's do it. Got my cameraman following me, my son Austin. He's behind the camera. Gonna take a cruise up the hill. So we're currently under a tornado watch. And so it's got us a little concern. There's a lot of tornadoes on the ground around us. We live here in Oregon County, Missouri. Our ranch is approximately 15 miles north of the Arkansas border, about smack dab in the middle of the state, right in the heart of the Ozarks. And we got tornadoes all over the state of Missouri. A little concerning, to tell you the truth. There's a lot of folks in the nation right now with tornadoes, and I mean a lot. So look at that bird, that's awesome. So our creek, as you can see, it's flowing. It's seasonal, but we've had a lot of rain lately, so that's a blessing. Look at all the butterflies. Man, unbelievable. Beautiful. All right, I'll just shut up and let you guys enjoy the scenery. Eroded a lot of dirt off this trail. We had some heavy rains. Almost 8 inches in 7 days. Pond's looking nice and full. It's actually in an overflow state. We got water running over the dam. That is a beautiful thing. All right, first things first, we're gonna hook up to this mobile water tank that we have. And I'll explain why we run mobile. We're not running fixed tanks on the farm. I actually have a bunch of mirror fount auto waters. We're actually going to be pulling them out and probably selling them. They don't do us much good in the situation and how we operate. Oh, get over there. Oh, I really need to put a jack on this thing. It's heavy. All right, swing around over here. So what we got here is a little quick connect setup. It's just an ICB tote. Little trailer I knocked together. I already have the axles and wheels. So we run this mobile water setup so that we don't have to set lanes. long distances back to our auto waters that, if you look over there, I mean, you can't even see them. They're way over there. What ends up happening when you do that, here, I'll shut this off real quick. It just creates too much access to areas of the pasture that they'll continually having access to. So they'll go back and continue to graze it and overgraze it. That's where overgrazing really occurs, is when you let the animals come back to something they've already grazed once. If you do a severe grazing, they graze it really super short, like you can see some of this in here, that's too short, right? But that will heal as long as they don't come back and then eat that off again, because this has all come up that little bit, and what's starting to come back is all energy reserved from the roots. So we don't want them back on it. This stuff will bounce right back. But if we let them come in and take call it the second bite, man, it smokes it. And you'll have high mortality, kills seedlings. They just don't have, you have an energy deficit to where you're taking more from the root than you're gaining from photosynthesis. So, you know, the plant grows in the spring from energy reserves in the root. It comes up, builds a blade, starts photosynthesizing, making food from sunlight. And then it starts rebalancing, putting that back into the soil or into the root. And that's where it stores its energy. Well, if you take that off before it's had a chance to balance its root, you're just gonna kill it. You're gonna really, really hurt your grass. So that's why we're not running lanes back to our auto waters. We're getting rid of it. I have this little hokey setup, but I'll tell you what, it works really good. So let's go get this thing dropped, get it filling over at this hydrant. And why don't you jump on the back, bud? And just don't slide off and impale yourself on that hook. You got your phone? You monitor, make sure our audio and all that's good, and check it before we take off. Whew! It's a little muggy out here. I'm a baby. I'm a Pacific Northwester, so I'm not really used to all this humidity. All right. Good. We got anybody on the chat now, or? No? A big donut? A donut? Oh man. Oh man. Anybody watching? We got anybody? Huh?
We got 7 people.
7 whole people. We appreciate you. We appreciate you. We don't do this very often. We don't live. We've done it a few times, but we're gonna try and do it more regular. All right, let's go. So yeah, bear with us. We're just gonna take this over and start filling this tank. And this thing can be loading while we're moving the cattle to their next paddock. Man, this thing feels extra heavy. Are you fat back there or what? All right, so we have this one hydrant here at the top of the hill. As you can see, we have that mirror fountain water. We have a bunch, we have 5 more of those, and I think I'm actually gonna remove them and just replace the other ones with frost-free hydrants like this. So we have more points on the farm to fill our little mobile trailers, and we'll kind of get into some of that later, but the goal is eventually to have underground water plumbed to all these paddocks. So all we have to do is take our little mobile tank with a float in it, connect the hose to a point in the ground in a valve box, and just energize it. So we always have water right where the animals are. Boy, I'll tell you what, it really helps with animal performance and not overgrazing your paddocks. It just gives you so much more control. So that's what we're really big on around here, you know, the hippie greeny weenie regenerative agriculture. But I'll tell you what, it works. It really works. We've taken this place from, you know, it had some grass, had a lot of weeds, had a lot of dirt, and we've turned it into, well, pretty much all grass now. We've got probably 95% plus coverage of grass and desirables versus, you know, buckbrush and multiflora rose and, oh geez, brambles. I mean, you name it. This place was pretty covered up. We've fought thistles, but you know, every place does, especially if you have compaction in your soil. So, all right, we're gonna drop this and move on. Are you gonna get my good side?
Yeah. Very nice.
There.
Douglas says, I'm watching your other video and this came up.
Oh, which video is that?
I'm assuming the
Let's see.
video.
Watching the other video. Were you, LaRue, were you watching a live or just one of our other videos, if you don't mind? Kind of curious. All right, I'll let you hold on to that.
Yes, sir.
And we'll keep on cruising.
All right.
Hop on, buddy. What's that?
Are you connected still?
No. If I am, that's going to be a problem. Oh, very good. Thank you. All right. Got our little tiny baby 1 joule solar fencer made by Patriot. It's a good fencer, but it's not too powerful. So we actually are building a 6 joule solar. It's kind of a hodgepodge. It's a 110. It's got a AGM battery and a 100-watt solar panel. We're going to put a video out on that if anybody wants to learn about how to build your own for about half price of an already pre-manufactured large high power low impedance fence charger. Whoa, I'm sitting on something. All right, let's see what we got here. So we're just going to take and kind of survey the paddock. Your sward is kind of a funny thing, and estimating how much you have, right? The tonnage that you're trying to take off. You have to calculate your animals and how many units you have. We're roughly running, I'm being pretty conservative here, of saying we have 25 units over there, so roughly 25,000 pounds of animals. And so we know they're going to take 3% of their body weight in forage every day, especially when you have calves on your cows, they're lactating. So it's called the grazer's eye. I'm still working on it. I'm by no means some professional grazer. I'm still learning a lot. So we make a lot of mistakes. We overgraze, we screw stuff up, we undergraze, but we're 100 times better than when we first started. So I just kind of come out here, look around, just kind of see what I got. If I got any really bad spots, something that's really thin, I'll actually fence them off. I won't even let them have it. I want it to heal, so we'll rest it. But this is about all equally poor. This is terrible. This is a really rough section of the farm. This hilltop here has been poor since we owned it, but it's gotten a lot better. We have a Korean Lespedeza, or I guess hot clover. It's a legume. It's a nitrogen fixer. So we're starting to see a lot more desirables come in, and that's been really due to a lot of rest. And if you rest your land, it can heal, right? So we put less pressure on it. We don't continuous graze anymore. So just kind of put my eye on it and go, yep, this looks like crap. So I guess we better take and give them a bigger area, right? Let's see.
Bonnie Blue.
All right, let's just read. Bonnie Blue, any tips how to control thistle and pastures without using synthetic chemical? Yes, and you're not gonna like my answer. We hack them out by hand. There's a lot of reasons. We just don't use herbicide. I've used it, let me back up. I have used herbicide, and we will use herbicide if it's kind of a last kind of, it's our only option. Let's just put it that way. And the reason I say that, like fence lines, areas that are too thick, if you just kind of want to nuke some stuff, that's fine, but I don't want that crap on my land. So last year I probably chopped out, 500, 800 thistles by hand. And you got to get really down in the crown. That's what we do. It's extra labor for sure, but it's starting to eradicate them. They are perennial. So if you can get them hurt really bad and chop them down a couple times, it'll kill them. That's kind of been our method. I'm sure there's much better ways to do it, but that's just what we do. So, again, though, a thistle is just an indicator. All your plants, they're all successional plants, and they're put there by nature to they're there because the soil conditions are right for them. So If you have thistle, you probably have compaction. If you have less compaction, you have higher humus, you probably won't have thistle. Kind of goes with like broom sedge. If you see a lot of broom sedge, or sage grass is what it's commonly called here, well, that's just a sign of poor fertility, right? So if you increase the fertility of your soil and you bolster your plants that are desirable, it'll choke it out, you know. It hates fertility. So if you have really fertile ground, and it likes low pH. So those are a couple things you can do to correct it, right? Lime it. Let's see here. Yep, salt. Yep, you can definitely do that and dehydrate it, kill them for sure. That's LaRue said, my dad used to dig thistles and put salt on the roots. You know, you can use vinegar. There's a couple other things, you know, some more natural methods. So, oh yeah, we were talking about all the tornadoes. Nebraska and Iowa have been hit hard with them. Yes, they have. It's a little concerning, I'm not gonna lie. We have them just about an hour, a little over an hour north of us, and there's a whole pile of them over towards Springfield. A lot of the surrounding states are getting hit hard now, so we've been under a current tornado advisory here, a watch all day. So we're keeping our head down and paying attention. So if we have to, we just did a little live video earlier that showed our storm shelter root cellar, that's what we're going to be, you know, jumping into if it gets rowdy. So it's not ideal. You know, I'd much rather have concrete with steel, but you know what? Our forests don't grow concrete and steel. They grow wood, and we're carpenters, and it was affordable, and so that's what we did, you know. It's serving a purpose now. Hopefully we don't go Mary Poppins in it, you know. Let's see. Bonnie Blue, that's pretty much what I figured. I'm looking at burning also. Thank you, North Central Missouri. Hey, all right, neighbor. So, you know, actually burning, that's a really controversial subject. I think I'm a big believer in it in certain situations. If you burn, you volatilize all your surface carbon. So that's not great. But if you burn, there's a lot of things you do add. You know, you're going to add potash. You're going to kill ticks, which that's the name of our ranch, and there's a reason. And it's really good for warm season grasses, right? It'll put a lot of pressure on your cool seasons, even possibly kill them. We're going to try and manage more here on this ranch for more warm season grass. I want to see the quail come back. The warm season grasses, they put more carbon exudates in your soil. They have bigger root systems. They're more drought tolerant. They're really great forage. They don't stockpile as well as fescue. So, you know, fescue has some really great traits. It's super durable. It handles massive amounts of grazing pressure, but it has an associated endophyte, which gives you an ergoalkaloid that's highly toxic to our animals. So any of those out there that know anything about fescue or graze it, you know, it can really hurt animal performance. They can lose their tails, they can lose their hooves. It's terrible for lactating mares. They can stillborn, they can retain placenta. There's a lot of problems with fescue. So I don't know enough about it yet to make a determination and say I'm going to eradicate all my fescue and start over with only warm seasons and you know, bluegrass and some other desirable cool seasons. But we're going to try and manage for more warm seasons, and how we're going to do that is by longer rest periods. Warm season grasses cannot take the grazing pressure, especially in the four horsemen, your switchgrass, Indian grass, big blue stem, eastern gamma grass, even your little blue stems. So, you know, we got Caucasians. All that stuff needs a longer rest period. It just does. It's a bigger plant with a deeper root system. They're a little more fragile that way. They take longer recovery time. So that's what we're working on. We have a whole method kind of planned out. I'm actually considering taking a seed crop off of our ranch this year. We are able to keep our small herd on top of this hill and just keep circling around. And I think we're going to have roughly a 40 to 45 day rest period. So we'll be able to go right back on what we started on, and the rest of the ranch is untouched, and we have a pretty good seed crop. So that's another great way to, you know, hopefully, we're going to see how it works out, to bring in some income. You know, especially during the time of the year, you got nothing to sell. So, you know, if it puts another $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 in our pocket, well, that's nothing to sneeze at, you know, especially when you're a startup rancher. So anything to put a few more bucks. Let's see, where are we at? Anybody else? This is spot burning with a dragon. This is spot burning with a dragon. I'm
She's saying that's what they're gonna do.
Okay. Are you talking like a big weed burner, like a towable propane tank with basically a flamethrower? We used to do that on our ditch banks. I'm assuming that's what you're talking about, Bonnie. Let's see. All right, so I'm gonna get moving here because I'll probably just talk my way the whole night away. Yep. Looks like we got a wire down. That's awesome. All right, so I'm just gonna start stringing stuff out and shut up. Let's see here.
Bonnie says yes, that's correct.
Okay, got it. The dragon's breath. All right. I'll have to also say, these are called, I'm kind of used to yelling because I'm not used to wearing a lapel mic, so I apologize if I'm like blowing your guys' ears out. Strain right posts. I'll tell you what, so far I've only had them now about a week or so, but I really, really like them so far. They're pretty slick. I'm not gonna lie. They're pretty slick. Oh, another thing. If you're into grazing, you're a grazer and intensive grazer, you know, we use a lot of these Gallaghers. We have a lot of these kind of reel setups and they're 3 speeds. But when we're doing this really higher stocking rate grazing, we don't need big, long, heavy reels. You know, we don't need 1,200 feet. We need 120 feet. So these little things right here, they're great and they're light. And they don't yank your high tensile wire all the way down to the ground. So something to consider. I mean, these things come from Ken Cove online, 20 bucks. This is like $19 and change. 20 bucks with wire, little reel. And all I did was go to the hardware store and bought me a little hook. And it works fantastic. You just wrap it around the other wire a couple times. Boom, it's energized. What we got there? Oh, hey, Bonnie, geez, thank you. That's incredibly generous of you, just to listen to some goofy guy run his neck. We appreciate you. All right, let's see here. I think we must have lost a stake. Something funky happened. I'm gonna blame Cash. My good buddy from Idaho is up here right now. He'll probably be on a live with me in the next day or so. He's a character. I think you guys will all get a kick out of him. You know, I don't think I can blame it on him. I think I have to take this one on the chin. I think I was stupid and did this, which is, you know, when you have your wire down like that, not even touching the ground, but it's touching all this grass, it's like 1,000 ground rods, right? It really takes the heat out of your fence. Oh yeah, this is gonna be plenty for him. So, again, this is the rockiest stuff on the planet. If you've never been to the Ozarks, I don't think I can stress heavily enough how many rocks we actually have. It is, well, let's put it this way. If there was money in rocks, I'd be a very rich man, wouldn't I, buddy? It's bad. It is so bad. Oh my gosh. So, yeah, these little things, I mean, they do seem really Mickey Mouse, but they work fantastic. I hear thunder.
Oh, yeah.
Oh boy.
Severe thunderstorm watch in our area as well.
Perfect. Can't wait. All right, that's it. I just wrap it around there a little bit so we get plenty of contact. You don't want it sparking. It will burn through your wire. I'm just gonna run this right here. Kind of all thumbs right now. But this is literally one of my favorite things to do, is move my cattle. We build, we weld, we're into construction, right? We're building all our stuff. We're a bunch of carpenters around here. But I don't think I enjoy much more than moving my cattle and horses. I absolutely love it. It's the highlight of my day. And then my wife wonders why I disappear for like 2 hours at a time up here. I just kind of like watching them, you know, watching what they do. I think we'll be good. Yeah, we're going to show you here in a minute the animals, and I'd like you guys to look at these calves. Boy, I am extremely happy with our little calf crop this year. We run South Poles, and I know that they're trendy. They're definitely trendy. Seems like everybody's, you know, South Pole crazy, and I don't know if they're a gimmick. I'm not too sure yet. We have 3/4 South Poles, 3/4 South Pole cows, heifers. We bought them as heifers, and then we put a full-blood South Pole bull on them, and I'll tell you, I'm pretty happy with them. If any of you folks are watching, a bunch of new alligator clips. If any of you folks watching are into cattle, have cattle, run cattle, tell me what you think of them. I mean, like I said, I'm really happy with them. They look great. We have some little tiny dinky cows over there, and they're incredibly thrifty. I mean, they don't take much feed. They keep great condition. They have a short leg, a big rumen, and they give us a big, fat, beautiful calf. So, I mean, I guess I'm sold on that. I haven't really noticed, again, 3/4 South Pole. They bred out a lot of the Senepaul, which is unfortunate. But the guy I got him from, he's north of Missouri. He's got colder winters. He has no trees. He has no protection for him. So he wanted a lot hairier cow. So hence he bred the Senepaul out. Well, I want a slicker cow. I don't want these guys furry at all. We're too hot and too humid. So I'm doing so much talking, I'm probably forgetting something, and I'm going to open something and the cattle are going to run out. All right. So this is our little water setup. We'll take a peek at it. And again, you know, it's poor boy. This is all super cheap. We just built it. Doesn't take much. It's got just a little brass float and ball in here. I'm gonna actually probably change that to a rope, a cord, and a ball float on it. But we fill that 275-gallon tank about once a day. Sometimes, you know, it's every 2 days, depending on rainfall, how moist the forage is, yada yada. So all right, are you kids ready? Are you kids ready, huh? Well, let's do it. Yeah, they are. Yeah, cows. My little tiny reel here, it's so funny looking. Yeah, cows, hip. Yeah, cows. So you can see they're not bawling. They're not yelling at me. They're full, they're happy. If you look at the left side of these girls, right in front of their hook, it's called their hook. It's like your hip bones right here, and then pins, right? They're here. Well, right in front of that hook, you're gonna have to come on this side, bud. Step over, no biff. Hey, 970. Yeah, come on over here. Come right over here. Now go ahead and take a look right there. That would be her hook, that little tiny bump. And in front of that, that's where you're gonna see where they're rumen, how full they are, right? So that's basically the stomach chamber that you're looking at, and you're gonna be able to tell how full your animal is. If you see a big triangle that's sunken in, it means they're hungry, it means they're empty. Look at that bull calf right there. We call him Spots. That is a fine, let's step over here, we're kind of pressuring him. He is he's a fine looking specimen. He's just about 2 months. And that bald face there, another really nice animal. And he's only a month old, the baldy. So they're looking sharp. Don't run through the fence. They love to. Uh-oh, oh no. This is 971. She wants to go see what the rest of the kids are doing, but she's more like a dog, and she comes up and just pesters you and wants to be scratched. She is a very friendly calf. But yeah, just take a second. I'll shut up. Go ahead and just survey what's going on out here and just look at these calves and look at the condition on these animals. Well, I said I was going to shut up. I lied. I want you to look at this girl here. This is 1903. And look at the fat on her. She has a calf on her. That's the bald face bull's mom right there. And I mean, look at the fat on her, that tail head. She's got 1, 2, 3, 4 fat wrinkles. I mean, she's fat as a tick. She's slicking off really good. She threw us a beautiful calf. She keeps fat on air, and she's just such an easy keeper. And here's the crazy part. There's no South Pole in her at all. Now, she does have some foundation South Pole in her, basically, right? Hereford and Red Angus, that's what she is. She's a Hereford Red Angus cross. And she's got that kind of condition. Well, you know, South Poles are all touted to be the best of the best for pretty much everything we're doing here. Well, she stays, like I said, keeps better condition than everything here, or as good. And she's just a Hereford Red Angus. So that really leads me to believe that, you know, so much of this, don't get me wrong, genetics are extremely important, but so much of this is management. Get your animals moving. Don't leave them in one place. You know, that's not how ruminants were designed to operate. They were supposed to move all the time, right? So if you're going to emulate the herds, the great buffalo herds or North American bison, well, you got to move them. And, you know, that's how they stayed parasite resistant, or I should say maybe possibly free. You know, it's more of a matter of, again, management. You can have all the
Destructive baseball sale.
Oh, great. That's not what we want to hear.
Take shelter in a sturdy building away from windows.
That's not what I want to hear at all. So, all right. I think I'm covered up in ticks. I got them crawling all over me.
I don't know how to get out of it.
It's all right as long as you can see the screen.
Got it.
Yeah, so anybody out there is the prey less than desirable. So go ahead and, I don't know, who was that?
That was your seed guy?
Yeah, there we go. Sorry guys, we got all kinds of stuff going on. We got tornado watches and it's not great. It's not ideal, I'll tell you that. Guess I could have just dumped this like a smart person. Yeah, it's a little concerning, I'm not gonna lie, but you know, we've had a lot of these kind of warnings before and we're still here like everybody else. So, oh, I know, it's scary, guys. All right. We'll get this fencer kicked back on, go get this water. Would you grab your phone and ask someone to go down and get a hold of him? I think he's out at the gate. We got a gentleman showing up here to come take a look at our potential seed crop. All right. Here, I'll take the phone. All right. Hey, buddy. You run up to the front and go see if Mr. James Hudson's out there. Yeah. Just hold on. Mom's calling. Hello. Oh, I think Mr. Hudson might be out at the gate. So if someone would go rendezvous with him and tell him we'll be coming down the hill here in a minute. All right, thank you. This is called multitasking, and I don't multitask well at all. You can ask my wife. Yeah, like chewing gum and walking and all that. It's tough. And then you add a cell phone or electronics in the mix, and I'm a mess. Oh, look at that. It's almost completely full. Perfect timing. We really need to get a jack put on this thing. It's kind of a real backbreaker. Ugh. 2,400 pounds of water. All right. All right, all right. Put the bung in, don't forget the bung. Okay. Ready, Eddie?
Ready.
All right. You got your phone, you can monitor the chat. What's that? Oh, okay. It's all right. All right, so the plan's gonna be, if we do think we're actually gonna get that hail, and there's reports of it, I'm just gonna come up here and I'm gonna take and just open the gate or open the fence, and we're gonna just let the animals have it, because I want them to be able to get in the trees. If we're gonna get that big of hail, that could be very detrimental to the health, especially of calves, or I mean, shoot, anything if you get hail that big. So they'll probably naturally, they should brush up and take refuge, you know, inside some trees. I sure pray we don't get hail like that. That would, I think I'm a little more concerned about really bad hail than I am a tornado. A tornado is a narrow path of destruction. Hail can take out a very, very large area. So we're just gonna pray that that's not gonna happen. Right, Betty?
Yes, sir.
I guess we'll say goodbye to all our vehicles, our roofs, probably some of our, maybe, I don't know. Our friends in Oregon, they have a ranch, and Wallowa, Oregon, they had a hailstorm last year, and they had up to, what they say, grapefruit size hail that hit that town. No fatalities, and to their knowledge, nobody lost an animal. I don't know how, but it destroyed the town. Destroyed it. All right. So there's that. Flowing in. It's getting a little bit of an algae buildup, so you know, I'll take and treat with just a couple tablespoons of bleach periodically. Make sure we don't get too much in the tanks. But you know, the clear tanks are a blessing and a curse. If they're clear, sun gets to them, allows algae to grow. But it's also clear so I can see at a distance. I know if they're out of water, right? I mean, if I was really lazy, I mean, I think it's probably faster just to drive up, but I could take my drone, fly up here, I could see the tank level and be like, oh, they got water. I don't even need to get out of bed. So, you know, like I said, I like it and I don't all at the same time. Probably the right thing to do would be to build a cover for this thing, a black and white sided tarp, you know, black inside, white out, so it keeps it cool. And then probably put a sight glass, plumb in a bulkhead fitting to a clear piece of like polycarbonate tubing up like this and back in, and you'd be able to see your water level. But you know, now I'm talking high tech. And the whole idea of this type of ranching, farming, is supposed to be low cost, low input, right? We're all grass. We don't worm. Well, we don't worm our cattle. We will worm our horses. The horses don't have the parasite resistance that the cattle do from our experience. We have a couple horses that are, well, apparently extremely parasite resistant. They don't show any symptoms. They don't hold hair. They don't have poor body condition. They don't have loose stool. You know, I haven't done a parasite count, but you go ahead and look at that girl right there. That's Ona. She's a Percheron Shire. Obviously very, very heavy in the influence of Percheron. I don't know, I think she's only maybe a quarter or less Shire. But yeah, that's another girl. She keeps fat on air. I mean, whew. She goes about 2,100 pounds and about 17 and a half hands. And then we got these other horses over here, which a couple of them were wormy. And so we held out, and I said, nope, we got to worm them. So we did. But if you know anything about wormers and animals, especially ruminants and this style of grazing, if you worm an animal, the manure that comes out of them, at least for a period of time, it's debatable how long that it stays in their system and how toxic their manure becomes. But if you're constantly worming or your whole herd and they're crapping out toxic manure, well, biology and bugs will not eat it. And it turns into basically a fossil on the surface. And it can stay there for years. So you're not really getting the benefit of it, right? The dung beetle can't take and break it down and pull it down into the soil. The worms won't attack it. There's a lot of things that, you know, it's pretty detrimental. So every once in a while, I will put some fly ban on my cattle. If the flies get out of control, I'm not gonna sit there and let, 300-400 horn flies just be sucking the blood out of my cattle. I won't do it. So I wouldn't want it on me. And on top of that, it's really poor for animal performance, right? So horn flies, they have a sharp mouthpiece, a mechanical piece in their mouth that they lance the skin of the animal and they lap the blood up. Well, they'll feed up to 30 times a day per fly. So if you have 100 flies, you could have 3,000 bites on your animal per day. And if you have a really heavy fly load, you could have up to or over a pint of blood drawn off of each animal every day with a high fly load. Well, can you imagine if you did this correlation, a 200-pound person to a 1,000-pound cow? Well, you're 1/5 the size, right? So divide a pint by 5. Well, you're going to be donating, think if it was a person getting bit like that, you'd be donating a couple ounces of blood every single day. Well, more like what, 3. So your body would just be under stress all the time and trying to recuperate and build red blood cells and plasma. Well, how good a condition do you think you would keep? How stress-free would you be? You wouldn't. So, like I said, we use it. We don't use it all the time. I don't just go put it on everybody. If we have one animal that's got more flies than another, we'll put a little fly ban on her. The flies migrate around. They jump from animal to animal, and it ends up killing them. Am I still putting something out there that's toxic to biology? Yes, I am. But I put it on their top line. Does it go systemic? Does it eventually come out in their manure? It's debatable. If it rains, does it wash them off? Does it wash it off and get in the soil? Yeah, probably. So, we're not all or nothing around here. We use everything here as a tool, but we don't use things as like a prophylactic. We don't just go blindly worm everything and blindly fly ban everything and vaccinate everything. No, we as needed basis. If I have an animal that gets sick and it needs it, it has an infection, well, I'm not going to lose the animal and I'm not going to let it suffer. I'm going to give it antibiotics. But we don't do that as just, like I said, a standard treatment, right? It's not part of our program. So, these guys, I had a couple that got scoury. They started to get scoury. That was my fault because it was my decision to hold the animals back this spring because we went through 2 consecutive droughts, bad ones. And the farm didn't have the time to recover. We ended up in an overgrazing situation, made a million mistakes. So I chose not to put the cattle out on the grass right away this spring. We did that last year and we did it the year before on the advice of many well-known grazers. And it was like shooting ourselves in the foot, I'll tell you what, because we didn't get rains after the spring, and the grass never really came back. We got very, very marginal grow back, and it just hurt everything so bad because we were out grazing grass like that. I'm not going to do that again. I'm going to manage every single year as though we're going to go through a massive drought. And if you manage like that and you end up with a drought, no big deal. You should pull through flying colors. So we held the animals back. I put them in a so-called dry lot. We call it our power line pasture. It's a clearing that's an easement where our power line comes into the ranch. And it's really poor soil. It's terrible. So we put them in there and we held them there about 35 days or so, and I fed hay. I fed the rest of the hay we had right there, a combination of peanut vine hay and pretty high quality grass hay. We held them back. Well, they're in captivity, right? They're not moving. They're around a lot of manure, a lot more bacteria, closer to the dirt. They didn't have a nice mat of thatch. So some of the calves got a little scoury, and they required a shot. You know, that's on me. I knew it would probably happen, and it did. So I was upset when a couple of them got scour, started showing signs of scour. And, but you know, what do you do? I still look back and I know it was the right decision, because the whole farm now is completely covered in super old, mature grass. Now, some of you might say, well, Wes, that's some really rank forage. It is. I'm not going to argue that. It's not high quality forage because the protein content has dropped, because the plant is way past boot stage. It's into final flower. So the quality of the forage drops. You're not producing as much, as vegetative matter. All true. Very, very true. But we're covered. We have ground protected, and we're sequestering carbon. We're putting all the good stuff in the soil right now. So all that said, poor quality feed, yes, but look at these animals. So these animals have been selectively bred to thrive on less than ideal forage. They have a short leg, they have a small frame, and they have a huge rumen. If you look at them, the ones like here, 803, here she is an absolute prime example of just a little pig. Look how short her leg is to get her fat little calf out of the way. You're an aggressive little feeder, aren't you, Bubba? All right, let's move out. Come on, there you go. That's a beautiful bull calf. So go ahead and look, there's not much real estate underneath there. See that? Almost no air between her belly and the ground. Little legs, she's fine boned. Get ahead of her, go step out in front of her and look down here and look at the width, the girth. Oh, it's the pest. She's back. How you doing, little one? Huh? Yeah. So you look at the girth on that girl. You look at that rumen, that stomach. She's designed for grass. She's not one of these high input, cattle that are this tall, at the wither and 1,800 pounds. She goes maybe 900. I don't know. I'm not the greatest judge. She's not very big. And look at her condition on rank forage. So that's what we're kind of doing here. It's a little bit more of a specific breed for a specific purpose. And you can tell how crazy and wild these cattle are. They're super scary. They're really scary. They, we're more like shepherds than we are, I guess you would say, ranchers or cowboys, because we don't do any sort of high stress stockmanship. None. It's all low stress stockmanship. That's what we practice. And I won't keep a wild ass animal. If they're crazy, they're gone. If they're a danger to anybody, if I can't bring my 2-year-old granddaughter out here and feel comfortable with her being in this pasture because there's a cow that's questionable, I'm not gonna have that. Just not gonna. Oh, sandpaper tongue. Yes. How are you? Huh? So, yeah, this little girl right here, 971, she's kind of already internet famous. God, that doesn't feel great. That doesn't feel great, but I bet I'm just salty as heck from sweating all day, huh? You know, you have salt and mineral you could go get, but apparently I taste better. Yeah, you can see, like I said, they're wily. Ooh, they're wild ones. And she wasn't like handled exceptionally frequent or anything. She literally came out of the womb about like this. She's just really, really tame. And she's teaching some of the others to be calm, right? Because it's all learned behaviors. So if you have, I don't know that it's heritable. I'm sure some of it is, absolutely. Behavioral traits in the progeny of, say, mother or sire. Absolutely, there is some of that. But there's also a lot to be said about learned behaviors. If you have a wild mom, and every time you get close, that mom runs off and acts panicked, what do you think her calf is gonna do? Exact same thing. So, this little girl right here, her mom is 970. Where is she? Little pipsqueak. Where is 970? She's hard to find in tall grass, she's so little. He really is. That's not her. That's not her. Where is you? I don't know if we can do a little comparison, a little side by side. I think this is her right here. Oh, don't be walking away. Watch, she's gonna slap me with her tail. Watch. Bam. That's what she likes to do. She'll tell you like, hey, I'm eating, don't mess with me. But this is kind of how she's been. She just decided one day to be really mellow. So this girl here, she's mellow. Her baby's mellow. It's all learned behaviors. The ones that are a little more wily, well, so are their calves. It's just the way it is, you know. Stop slapping me. But yeah, this calf crop, I'm over the moon about it. Look at that. Look at that heifer right there. Just beautiful. They're gaining like crazy. They have amazing condition. These cows, I mean, again, just look at that condition. They're just full and round, and they got calves on them. You know, they got calves sucking on them, and they're just keeping great condition. So I definitely say so far, this South Pole thing is a win. I mean, super, super happy with it. But again, I'll harken back to what I said before. That girl right there, 1903, green ear tag, head toward us with the bald face, right? And she's going around Blanton. Unbelievable condition, and she's not a South Pole. So, you know, I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh, if you wanna be successful with this, you have to have South Pole cattle. No, you don't. No, you don't. You need to manage. You need to move them. You need to pay attention to them. You got to make sure they have mineral and they have fresh, clean water at all times. I'm another big proponent. Don't make your cattle walk a half a mile for water. Don't make them walk a quarter mile. If you have to, you have to. But I keep water right where they're at, and I notice massive increase in body condition when you have clean, cool, fresh water. They take more water. If they take more water, they take more forage. If they take more forage, they have better body condition. Something else I didn't touch on. These smaller framed animals, they have a higher relative feed intake than a larger animal. They don't have a higher total intake, but per pound body weight, they will take in more forage. So therefore, you will have better performance and better animal, daily gains. So, yeah, small cattle, I'm sold. Now, are they a great animal for the commercial beef market when they have this, you know, the meat packers want an animal that's 1,500 pounds, 1,400 pounds? No, they're not. But there's plenty of market out there to sell these, especially direct to customer. It's really fine quality, very palatable, tender meat. It's really, really good stuff. So, you know, there's a lot to be said for them, but at the same time, there's a lot of breeds out there that are really good. Just manage and move them, move them, move them. And if you do, you'll have fat cattle like this too. You know, that's really what it boils down to. Boy, I hear it coming. It's a rumbling and a grumbling.
I think your sheep guy's down there waiting too. I don't know if you plan on
Yep, we're gone. We got to go. So anyway, that's me flapping my neck for an very extended period of time. Let's get lost. I appreciate all you folks watching, and we're going to beat feet. So We might take you down the hill on a little quick ride, and then we're going to sign off. I don't know if anybody else on there had anything left to say. If not, we'll catch you on the next one. You got your phone on you, bud?
Yes, sir.
Let's go. Let's jam-o. See, that's the problem. I got talking and got super distracted. We got to hit this Spencer on the way out. Ho! It's a bouncing. All right. Let's do it, man. Do it. Hold on, buddy. Woo-hoo! Rowdy. I'm gonna lose my stakes. I never bungeed them. Ah! There we go. They're halfway bungeed. All right, back to the hacienda.